and welcome to the Honest Trailer Commentary for Doctor Who Modern Edition. We done did it.
We did it, guys.
We finished.
We made it.
I'm Spencer J. Gilbert. That's Lon Harris. Joe Starr's on vacation, so we brought in the big guns. We have our Doctor Who expert who helped us in so many innumerable ways along the journey. Riley J. Silverman, welcome.
I love that I can actually say Doctor Who expert is a credit of mine now.
Oh, it's a career path.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
We leaned on Riley a lot. She helped us with so many stupid questions, detailed questions like, is there a moment where the doctor contradicts themselves? And you're like,
is there?
Oh, let me. Allow me.
That's all there is.
Yeah, I feel like there was an early part of this process where it was like, we got to figure out the rules so that this all makes sense. And then there was a point where it's like, it doesn't.
There's no rules.
Relax.
There are no
okay.
rules.
Yeah.
And here's a clip where they say there are no rules.
Yeah.
But if you're unfamiliar, this is the show where we talk about the other show you hopefully just watched, the Honest Trailer for Doctor Who, Modern, not Classic. That's a different video. And in this one, if you do stick around, we have so much that we didn't make in. So if you stick around to the end,
Oh my God.
you will see some deleted scenes. And wow,
The most deleted scenes of anything we've ever made.
It's a lot of show.
It's a lot.
It's a lot
There's
of
a
show.
You're looking at like 13 years of a show that that's since the return.
And now, unlike, not to say that Dan cut corners, because it's far too much for one man, and he watched 100, 200 episodes easily, but we watched start to finish Modern Who. Not all of us watched every episode, but we split it up, and we, Lon, you got the tail end?
Yes, I watched the 9th and 10th seasons in their entirety, so the final 2 Capaldi seasons. But I also jumped around as best I could and tried to watch a little bit of everything.
Joe did Eccleston and Tennant, and I did Matt Smith and a little bit of Capaldi.
Yes,
and,
the first season of Capaldi.
And all these fun Christmas specials in between.
I watched 3 Christmas specials.
Yeah.
In mine.
So I guess maybe we should just talk about, like, I know what you think of the show. What do you think of the show? Do you like it?
I'm very divided on this show. I have to say, more than almost any other show I could think of, I'm really of two minds because there's a lot of stuff in it that I really like. I like British humor and that sort of like twee kind of silly, like it's a good mix of high and low, which the Brits do very well. It's like very smart and clever and you need to really think about it, but then there's also really dumb, goofy stuff that happens, and I like that. But I have to say, like, I don't, the soap opera elements don't always work for me. And I feel, sometimes it feels weird to juxtapose like so much silliness and then right away try to make me feel very emotional. I don't know if that always plays for me.
Okay. Look,
How about you?
The show snuck up on me. At first, I was watching it, arms crossed, leaned back, like, okay, show, like, make me laugh. And it didn't, but eventually, I was surprised. It started to grow on me, and by the time you're losing companions and saying goodbye to doctors, I was like, I'm getting emotional. I don't understand why.
Yeah.
How did this happen?
Yeah.
How did this silly show make me actually attach to this ridiculous nothing matters universe that we live in?
Yeah, I think that's a fair point.
Yeah.
But American shows, we were just saying this a little bit before, would never do this. Like, American shows are like, this is a hard-edged, gritty crime thriller, and it's just that, and it's that beginning to end, and it doesn't try to, like, sneak up on you and do something else.
Yeah, I do admire the fact that there's nothing the show will say no to. Like, you want to go into a historical drama? Sure. You want to do something like a complete mind-F sci-fi psychedelia thing? Sure, we'll do that too.
Yeah.
There was a found footage horror movie in the middle of one of my seasons.
I mean, when you get into enough seasons, enough episodes, like, what else? What haven't we done?
Yeah, no, they were really willing to take on any genre,
Yeah.
which is
part of the
admirable.
beauty too is like, especially in the runs that y'all saw, is like when the show brings in writers, they don't do like a writer's room like a lot of shows do. They basically would bring in a writer and they'll go, here's your episode, go write it. So it was almost like hiring a bunch of people to write their own little like short film.
That
and then
tracks,
like
yeah.
and then Moffat or the showrunner at the time, like Davis, just like, or now Chibnall. I think Chibnall has a bit more of a writer's room atmosphere for his work, but I think that like typically they would go, okay, well, we're gonna like squeeze in our elements and squeeze in the things that make it Doctor Who. And like they might give some notes, but otherwise,
sometimes it kind of feels like that.
Yeah, the writers got to write their own little thing.
Again, I'm sort of two minds that are like, it sort of makes some of the episodes end up with like kind of a patchwork feeling because you could tell like, well, this service is Doctor Who, and this service is the individual story, this service is the ongoing plot.
Yes.
But I do like that it gives it, when it works, it gives it that really fun kind of anthology feel. Like X-Files at its best had this feel, where it's like, it's the same show, but it doesn't feel the same every week. It's like, this week we're going to get into this kind of of adventure, and it's going to have this sort of feel like reading a short story collection almost or something.
Yeah, I really appreciate this in the sense of like, even though it's still going in a modern show, is like a real respect your elders show. Because I like so many things that are similar to Doctor Who, and I can now see the debt that they owe to that. And although this is a weird cross-pollination of like my favorite thing in the world is like Douglas Adams. Who doesn't love Douglas Adams? Who started with Doctor Who?
Yeah, and actually,
Hitchhiker's Guide.
Dirk Gently was actually, from what I understand, it was intended to be like a Fourth Doctor story, and then it never got made into a TV story, and then he like adapted it and made it into Dirk Gently the books.
Yeah, amazing. So
yeah, that's wild.
Even if there's like there's a fair amount of similar like Buffy, similar things that I like more than Doctor Who, I can watch this and be like, oh, there's the DNA of that show. Living on.
Well, I mean,
this one.
X-Files I just brought up, and like Monster of the Week, and I feel like any modern show that's doing Monster of the Week has a tip of the cap to the Doctor.
Yeah. And then I think. Reverse that. I think that a lot of modern show. I mean, I think a lot of modern Doctor Who. Sorry, I can put words together. A lot of I'm doing the Doctor thing. I think a lot of modern Doctor Who is inspired by shows like Buffy. Like I think you can definitely see that Stephen Moffat was a huge fan of what Buffy was doing, and that's why you have episodes that are like Zeppo-like. Or you have episodes
Whedon-esque.
Whedon-esque. But like Blink is such a solid episode, and I think it's because Moffat like knew how to write based on like what Buffy was doing. Like we have an episode where we're not going to put the Scoobies as the main characters. We're going to make just Xander.
Yeah.
And so I think Blink is like, what if we didn't follow this character? They needed to do it for budget reasons, but he managed to like make that work as like a standalone episode.
Yeah. So, all right. Let's that's enough positivity. Let's watch the trailer and we'll pause and play as is our wont.
From Fancy PBS comes a show that takes place anywhere in the universe, at any time in the past,
mandatory,
present,
that's
or
why.
future, where anything can happen and none of the continuity matters.
Never, ever tell me the rules!
Doctor
The
Who.
continuity matters as long as it's convenient.
Get
Pause.
ready
Yeah,
for a
pause.
continua-
The thing that didn't make it in, and I didn't even end up writing it for a cutscene, is like the continuity as pertains to time travel. Like trying to follow in my head the rules of time travel in this show and what you couldn't do. I gave up. The show beat me.
Yeah, there are some, but again, it's something that can be thrown out the window the second the plot needs it not to.
Right.
Yeah.
And I will say, at first I found this very frustrating, that they're just like, well, we'd already established that the Doctor can't go back to like a thing that's in
own
his
timeline.
own timeline, but then they'll do it anyway. And I was like, well, they should explain like why it's different. And then I was like, you know what? I'm glad they don't, because that would just be more of that dialogue of like make up scientific sounding things. Like they just go for it.
I mean, they do have they have one episode that explains it, but they don't also ever have that consequence ever happen again.
What episode is it, Riley?
It's Father's Day.
Okay.
In Eccleston's era, there's an episode where they go back in time and Rose stops her own father from dying, and then as a result of that, like it makes a new timeline. But because of that, like it's a world where this guy's not supposed to exist, and then also because like it's the bootstrap paradox, where like, well, you wouldn't have been able to do that if you didn't have time travel, but because you did this, you wouldn't have been on the time machine. So it's like a weird thing. So basically what happens is all the people in the world start to vanish because they're being eaten by like paradox monsters.
Right, I remember the paradox
yes,
monsters.
yes.
I think I got a little taste of those. There was like a New York episode where like New York shouldn't have happened this way.
Yeah, something like that.
Isn't that also the plot of Stephen King's The Langoliers? I believe it is. They like get on a plane and then they enter.
Father's Day is very much like that.
And then they enter like it's like you can't, like if you violate the timeline, you end up like out of time and then monsters come and eat you.
Thank you, Lon. Very on brand.
Langoliers is like basically like there is no timeline. Like once you move forward, the world is eaten every day.
Yeah.
by
All
these
right,
monsters.
nerds, let's keep going. We're not talking about Langoliers. We got a lot of
I'm
who to
talking
get
about
through.
the
16 years off the air because all the British nerds who grew up with Classic Who finally got old enough to call the shots at the BBC. Now they're taking the stodgy old formula and stretching it to an hour of quirky comedy.
I demand to know who you are! I don't know!
He's probably the
Improved
funniest one.
special effects
I think so.
and enough soap opera pulp
I mean,
to choke a
Capaldi's funny.
telenovela.
There was a lot of
It's pretty funny too. Yeah.
Eccleston
Okay,
refused
Dr.
to
Pierre.
do jokes, and that's why he got fired, right?
He said that he
Beat the doctor.
I mean, he has
He's
funny
not an
jokes. Like
actual
Eccleston has
doctor,
funny
but an-
stuff. But he said that was, I like that we froze on the arch eyebrow
Yeah,
of David
wow.
Tennant. Yeah, Eccleston said that, like, I think his biggest insecurity was he didn't think he was as good at playing the comedy, but he actually does. He has some pretty funny lines throughout it. But I think that was like his big hang up.
He's a weird. It is interesting to me that if now having seen as much of the show as I have, if it was 2005 and you were like, hey, let's reboot Doctor Who, you have the whole world of British actors. Who are you going to pick for this quirky, fun alien who goes on adventures? I would not pick. Like, I think Chris Eccleston's a great actor.
They didn't know it was going to be a hit. Like, the last thing they'd done, Doctor
But
Who
I mean,
wise, was a
he's
failed TV movie.
But he's famous. Like, it's not like he was already like a really well established, like very serious dramatic actor. It's an odd show. Like, well, you would think there's funny
there's
guys.
a history there because he and Russell had worked together on a previous project and wanted to work together again, and then they hate each other. Well, Russell was very, very British about it, whereas Eccleston is very much like there's people there that were terrible.
Yeah.
Like but Russell's like, he was my doctor and I have to protect him as a producer. Like, he's very, very, very British posh about it. But they didn't think it was gonna be a hit at all. Like, one of the people that was up for it when it was like being cast was Hugh Grant, and he turned it down because he thought it would be a failure. He didn't want to be associated with it. And then like he actually says he regrets it. Like, he wished he had done it.
That'd be a very different show.
He does play the doctor
it in the special.
Yes.
So that's part of why he was being considered for. Like,
and my favorite doctor, Rowan Atkinson, Mr. Bean.
Yeah. And
that'll always be my doctor.
Yeah.
All right, keep going.
Alien, who named himself that as a vow.
The name I chose is the Doctor. It's like a promise you make.
Even though the word doctor was created to describe him?
The word
Talking
for
about canon
healer
fan
and
fiction.
wise man. We get that
Yeah,
word
he
from
wrote
you,
it.
you know.
He wrote his own
Yeah,
fanfic
that's
into the
not
show.
the first
Yeah,
paradox
Moffat
you're going to have to swallow.
Paradox.
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 To
Congrats to
fans,
our-
he's a two-hearted Time Lord who hijacked a faulty TARDIS from the planet Gallifrey, who's sometimes kind of a dick.
Funny little human brains. How do you get around in those things?
But to casual viewers, he's a funny man with a time machine who takes ladies on adventures, who's also kind of a dick.
He's got a real love-hate relationship with humanity.
Watch him dash through time, equipped with a sonic
He
screwdriver
loves
and
humanity.
psychic paper, two devices with the
He's
power
like a scolding
to
parent.
speed up
Yes,
He
the
wants
right.
us to be better, and when we're not, he's really disappointed.
And the
in us.
TARDIS.
Exactly.
What does
But
it do?
down, deep down.
A time machine with the power to break when the plot needs to slow down.
But the TARDIS pause. So many things we didn't make in because the TARDIS is also infinitely large.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if I knew that.
Powered by the ocean, by waves, by
That's the dinosaurs on a spaceship ship.
Really?
Yeah. The TARDIS is basically powered by the vortex, the time vortex.
Yeah.
But
I thought there were waves.
that's the
the
ship.
dinosaur ship?
Yes, the dinosaur ship.
Okay.
The TARDIS,
is the best.
So TARDIS isn't infinitely big, but it's a pocket dimension, and it's infinitely big in that any room that is needed, it can manifest.
Room of requirement.
A room of requirement,
It's
yeah.
a
Will.
requirement, basically.
But they really only required that one standing set.
Yeah, Capaldi,
for most of the time.
there were like 3 levels to it. There was like the wardrobe level, right? And then there was like the main engine room level, and then I think there was like one other area.
Yeah, there's
you
like
saw.
a catwalk thing below it.
Right.
Like the
Yeah.
cables
So
and
you got
stuff
the idea
are.
that like it's
Yeah.
expansive, but I don't think anybody ever mentioned in my episode.
But
that
it's
it was
also
infinite.
it's sentient.
Well, there's an episode. Yeah, it's a living
Yes,
ship.
yes.
There's an episode in Matt Smith's run called Journey to the Center of the TARDIS.
Yeah.
And there's also the Doctor's Wife episode.
Right,
and
that
both
where
of
they
those,
go into the engine room
Yeah.
and there's lava versions of their future
I'm
selves.
looking that up.
Yeah, and
That
like in
sounds
the it's one of the things that we use later on here, but where Rory is like, I waited for you again because like because it's a ship, it's a time ship, and there's like time distortions, like one room you might be in and somebody else is in the hallway, but 60 years pass in this room and they don't hear because of time distortion.
And then when
So-
the TARDIS soul or spirit is infused into a human body, we find out its name is Sexy.
yeah, that's what the Doctor calls it. Yeah. It's
I
like-
missed
it's like-
all this. Its name is L337.
Anyways,
It
let's
was
keep going.
fighting for TARDIS rights.
Maybe it'd break less if he didn't keep exploding inside of it.
Not stagnated in.
It's just a thought. Watch the Spatial Justice Warrior travel all around the
a great
known
line.
universe, from the streets of London to working-class British mining towns to the quaintest
The
little
UK is the
English
center of the
villages.
universe.
Oh my god.
People.
No, they're very old people.
But when the budget allows, he'll fly off
go
to
to
the
America,
far reaches
which
of
is
the
actually
CGI
Spain.
universe, where everything
was actually
is
America,
still
that one.
extremely
Really?
British.
Yeah, I
They
got
filmed in
a.
Utah.
It was supposed to be New Mexico, and
It's
it
the
was
sun never
very
sets on the British
Italy.
Empire.
They usually do film in Spain and Italy, but they
Oversized.
did film once in America because it was a huge deal.
By his side,
It was
as
like the
always, is
most
his trusted
Italian
companion,
setting ever.
Usually a cute girl, because ratings, who after a few seasons of adventure, usually has her life ruined.
They ended up imprisoned. They were tortured. My mum, my dad, my sister.
No, please, no, no.
if she's lucky.
So I
Follow
like
along to
yelped
keep
when
the
I saw
doctor
that
grounded,
shot.
Give him someone to talk to, and act as his mostly platonic but not always love interest.
Do you think I'm pretty?
No.
They're basically dating without the sex, except for Nardal. That one was purely physical.
I'm not just sexy.
Experience a franchise.
So I think Lon and I both struggled with the love but not love between Doctor and companion.
Oh yes, I
First of all,
struggled.
the fact that it ever got consummated is super weird. Super weird.
Super
He's
weird.
2,000 years old. She's a human woman.
Well, River, sort of. River, I mean, she's a
No,
human
not
woman.
River. Rose, right?
Well, they never actually show them consummating. Like
Okay.
that's
Sure.
It's sort of implied.
Yeah,
But
it's
she's a
implied, but
child.
They never. Look, I am on that. I'm on board with you. I have a hard time with any sort of fiction where someone is like centuries old and so like that's part
It's
of why
not
I could
only
never
the-
get into Twilight. 'Cause
It's
I'm
not
like,
only the
besides-
age. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
Go
off.
ahead.
It's not only the age. It's like he's so in control of everything. Like he's this alien. He's a genius. He's got the time machine. Like the companions are so at his mercy that it's like weird to inject a physical, like emotional relationship into that.
I don't go as far on that one, but there is definitely like even River has the speech in the Husband's River song where she's like trying to think the Doctor would love you back as like thinking that a star would love you back.
Yes,
like
yes.
like the yeah.
But he definitely leads them on. That like he's flirting with Amy. I maintain for like the first 2 seasons that they're together.
Yeah, we've had that discussion.
Yeah, he's definitely
Yes.
very much into her, and she is very much not into her husband. But that's
I don't agree, but
Yeah,
I
there's
get
some.
it.
There
I
are
get
some
the-
companions.
she runs away on the eve of her wedding.
Yes, because she's terrified of what's gonna. She has this whole thing. It's a fairy tale. It's fine. So I will maintain that I do think that Amy deeply loves Rory. I think she just scared
Yeah,
has
fine,
cold
but
feet,
like, okay, I'm a married man. If my wife, the night before our wedding, went off with her love of her life originally, Jim Carrey, if she had run off with, Ace Ventura, not Jim Carrey, but Ace Ventura, who she loved as a child, I would be like, oh,
Not the same thing though, because Ace Ventura didn't personally arrive at her home and have her cook
But if
for
he
him.
did, I would seriously reconsider our relationship. I'd be like, oh,
He can talk
people
with his
didn't
butt. How can you
spend-
compete with that?
People didn't spend her whole life telling her she was crazy because she believed in Ace Ventura.
that Ace Ventura would show up
And so
and
Ace
take her
Ventura
away.
showed up like oh my god, this was the thing that my whole life I wanted, and like now it's suddenly happening. How would you not take that opportunity? like it's there. But
Yeah.
like at the end of the day, when she does get faced with a choice, she chooses Rory.
Eventually. First,
When she's given
she
the
chose
choice. Yeah.
the
Riley and I
doctor.
both think your wife could reasonably leave you for Ace Ventura. I
I-
think that's
I'm-
what
that's
I think that's what we're saying.
I'm not saying that she doesn't have doubts. I'm saying like she is scared and doesn't know what she wants to do, and like it's like having a crisis or cold feet, and then
Yeah, she's gonna go
yeah.
take this guy for a test bit and see how it shakes out.
I think it's not just. I think it's the adventure in the universe.
She
and,
comes
like,
on him. She chases him across a bed. He has to hide from her advances.
I mean, the proof that some of the relationships are weird is that some of them aren't, and you know immediately. You're like the Doctor and Bill. That's not weird. They're not. They're friends.
I
They're
think it's
just
better when you
traveling
take
companions.
out even the
Yeah.
specter of romance from
Oh,
this
I-
relationship. I think the show is better.
Based on the 2 seasons that I watched all the way through, like Capaldi and Clara, nowhere near as fun as Capaldi and Bill.
And I like a lot of people hate Clara just in looking around online.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of Clara hate, which I don't understand.
I do not sanction that Clara hate because I was
No.
like, finally, someone's putting this weird old alien man in his place.
It's nothing against the character of Clara, who I liked. It was just like they're kind of playing with this love stuff that I don't know if it plays.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
My issue with Clara is mostly that I feel like she's very inconsistently written.
Yes.
Because there are
Yes.
like sometimes where she's like this control freak and at times where she's not. And I think I don't think it's a detriment of Jenna Coleman's acting. I think she's actually a very good actor, and I think when they give her different versions of the character to play, she plays them all well. Like I think that the Dalek Clara we meet the first time, like the Oswin one, I think the Victorian one she's really good at, and then when she plays Bonnie the Zygon in
Yes.
season 9, I think she's a very talented actor.
Yeah, but they didn't have as clear of an arc with her in mind.
No, yeah.
Part of it's because she was supposed to leave, and then and then she decided to stay, and then they're like, well, we have to write a different arc for her now, and
it.
so that's part of it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The more you know. Anyways, keep going.
It's been running for so long, they built 13 recastings of the main character into the lore, then hit that limit and pulled even more out of a crack. As
not
each
easy.
actor brings a new spin to the alien who's seen the stars, but looks like he's never seen the sun. Whether it's Eccleston,
don't tan.
the only
They're
doctor of the
pasty.
modern
They're pasty
era
men.
to regenerate due to creative differences with the BBC, David Tennant, the unquestioned master of staring sadly into the middle
I
distance.
love this.
This is our off-brand
Yeah, Mad World.
so great.
Matt Smith, who combined the face of a handsome 12-year-old with the wavy arms of an inflatable tube man.
Does he have
Peter
active
Capaldi,
hands?
who reimagined the Doctor
Yeah,
as
I
your
can't
uncle
judge
who
that.
never got married and moved to Vegas in his 40s.
I was being all down with the kids there, did you notice?
Or Jodie Whittaker, the first female Doctor, which, no matter how she performs, is one of the least outrageous things this ridiculous show has ever done.
I'm riding a dinosaur on a spaceship!
We could have picked anyone.
Yeah, literally.
But you
anything.
picked one written by the new
All-powerful
showrunners.
villains to go up against, and the Doctor has some. Because in plenty of episodes, it's a lame monster of the week,
Invasion of the very small
And he wrote that too.
or something invisible to save on the effects budget,
Richard Curtis wrote this.
or something we've seen a million times before, but an alien.
Very, very true.
They're not vampires. They're aliens. What is it? A minotaur or an alien?
Both.
You saying bees are aliens?
Not all of them.
Still,
based.
some
I like the way that
evildoers are
Brent's
among the
like,
best in
alien,
sci-fi,
alien.
like the Cybermen, emotionless robots who can only be defeated by
And I should say
feelings.
Scott's apologies to Karen Gillan for saying Brent's when she's
The
guest
Master,
Yeah.
a renegade Time Lord who considers themselves the Doctor's arch nemesis, but is in the middle of this list, so you do the math.
Yeah, I managed to dodge pretty much every
The
Master
Weeping
episode. and
Angels,
watched
killer
5
stone
seasons of the
statues
show.
who get less threatening with
I
every
had a
appearance
ton of
until they're
Master.
about as scary
Well, I mean,
as
she's the primary
Ghostbusters 2.
antagonist in the quality years.
Yeah.
The Doctor's
Too much of a good
greatest
thing, Angels.
rival, Christmas.
I love that.
Yeah. I was really glad we found a place for the Santa Clauses with trumpets. These guys. This scene is
And
ridiculous.
the Doctor's other
Yes.
greatest rival, the
Is there a
Daleks.
Hanukkah episode? Or Ramadan? Or any other?
dare
Oh,
they?
it should be.
Fleshy blobs stuffed into cramped metal homes who spend their entire life shouting
I
commands
wanted to
at
go to
people
like
they hate.
the Jew planet where they celebrate Hanukkah. It'd be a
mean
great
Earth?
holiday special. like 0.5% of Earth. I mean the
Full
whole
of light
planet.
fans and confused newcomers, like the seasons where the world keeps ending. But just kidding, he can reverse the planet's rotation like
Now,
Superman.
this is a run that I think will
The
only make
season
sense
where
to
the Doctor
people who
falls
watch
in
the
love with his
show.
companion,
But pause,
only to-
JT. We spent so much of our lives watching this show, and it was a recommendation from Dan, who watched the classic stuff, to like cut this. And I, even knowing that it doesn't make for the funniest trailer, refused, because each one of these jokes represents 24 hours of television
Easily,
watched.
yeah.
And I would not let it go down the drain without being mentioned.
I also think it's a relevant part of the show in that the show often like sets these huge arcs up and then it's like, nope, never mind, because it resets itself so often.
Right,
It
yeah.
has to.
Yeah.
Like we were talking a lot, I was talking earlier today about the fact that everyone seems to always forget when there's like major invasions a couple of years ago on the show.
Sure.
And I think they have to treat it that way because I think that when you're writing a show that you either have to go, well, for our show about aliens, we can't ever have an invasion plot line.
Yeah.
Or you have to go, oh, every invasion plot line is like, there's no stakes because the people don't care. They've been invaded so many times.
Right.
So they have to kind of just go like, we just
Yeah,
gotta
I
make
mean,
like a throwaway reference to the fact that humans just
Talk
move on
about
and
messing
forget
with the
about it.
timeline. Just, I'm sure it happens once, but just once, I'd like a Victorian era person to see an alien and be like, Satan! And just go catatonic. Like they take it in stride so
Yeah,
often.
everyone.
Throughout all of history, modern, past, future, they're just like, all right, you're
Yeah.
quirky. Let's see
Well,
where
yeah,
this
I mean,
goes.
in the next Doctor Christmas special, there's the scene where like a giant Cyberman, like it's like Godzilla's the city of London. Like it's basically like there's a Jaeger attacking London at one point, and then like never mentioned again in any modern era.
I think maybe it's part of the like British character of like stiff upper lip, you know?
Sure.
It
It can
calm
only
and carry on.
happen
like,
in Britain because
right,
in the Very Small Cubes episode, I think everyone in the UK has has like a blackout seizure heart attack.
Yeah.
They all just like, and then they reverse the polarity or whatever, and, and the
Yeah.
cubes zap them back to life.
Well, there's even
Like,
one in the
oh, well,
Capaldi
that
era.
was odd.
Right, so back at it then. Yeah.
In that last Capaldi season, there's basically like this whole era of like this like race of monks like take over the planet, and then the next day, like Bill's like, they're all gonna know about it now, and like some girl walks by and she's just bored on her phone, like, oh yeah, I think they were filming a movie or something. Like doesn't even like pay attention.
Yeah, I guess that's believable. Anyway, keep going.
Lose her for all eternity. Just kidding. He'll make a copy of himself and they'll live happily ever after. The seasons
Convenient.
where the Doctor copes with the inevitability of his own death.
I'm dying!
J.K. Rowling. He'll live as long as the show needs him to.
Well, I suppose one more lifetime won't kill anyone.
Or the seasons where he's haunted by the knowledge that he's triggered the genocide of his own people.
Look up genocide. You see a little picture of me there?
Or maybe he's just kidding and he actually saved everyone but doesn't remember it.
You're not actually suggesting that we change our own personal history.
Sure, that'll work. Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey, whatever. So run down your nearest hallway.
Oh, yeah, a lot of hallway running.
Oh, yeah. Usually it's the same hallway multiple times.
Pull a plan out of your arse.
But I've got a plan.
I have got a plan.
Yeah, of course I have a plan.
And start spouting technobabble like the universe depends on it.
Wave of Van Cassadine energy.
Macro transmission of a K-filter wavelength sticks it into a living receptacle and then it feeds off the remaining Ultron energy.
Because you're about to get some of the greatest standalone episodes of
personified
sci-fi
TARDIS,
history, with a bunch of momentum-killing serialization crammed in to service the diehards. But after all is said and done, let's still try to be more like the Doctor. Never cruel or cowardly.
Never be cruel.
Or hearts.
Never be cowardly.
Just enjoy the ride and let who do who.
No flow, Joe, co, fo, to, to.
No, bo, ho, so, go, ro, to, so.
It's hard to love you sometimes.
I was thinking of the Vogans when I watched those guys.
The Leftover. Bad Wolf, what you gonna do? Scary Poppins. Show me your bow face. The appearance of the repeated meme.
Nice job in the titles by
Martha.
Just the temp. Harry and Ron at the same time. Angry
You have to
man.
pause that one to
I'm
really
gonna go with the
appreciate
door
it.
skirt and the long jacket.
I love that.
requisite
Frizzle.
cake reference.
I love.
There's one in every other
This kind
trailer.
of era. We Billy Knew Ye. Master of none. Spin Doctors. The Great Glass Dr. Vader. That time Rose was on Weakest Link.
That was weird.
Oh my God,
That reference didn't hold up.
You
Yeah, not at all.
Poor Rory.
You'll die.
Yeah, twice.
I'm sorry, Rory, but you just died.
Try to make him into a badass. It's like,
the same name as
Last century.
That thing Tennant's voice
Yeah.
does.
Yeah? Why do you think I keep going? Chance for a cup of tea. Want to go to the games? What we came for?
Every British actor. Harry Potter division.
That's why it's fun to watch him on League of Legends of Tomorrow, where he's like trying to be the Doctor essentially, or they're trying to make him the Doctor where he doesn't want to be.
Every British actor.
So
Game
great.
of Thrones division.
And this is adding up to it too, because Mark 80 is going to be on the new season of the new season. So.
and
Every
there's also
British
these are
actor,
only the
Game of
major
Thrones, and Harry
characters.
Potter.
There's
Yeah.
so many more.
There's so many that we didn't get to.
Did a day roll.
Every other British actor. Every British historical figure.
I think it was probably even something that got missed at some point.
Oh, hello, dear. What's up? Queen Elizabeth's
The fattest Winston
There probably are.
Churchill.
I only noticed that one alien guy was the guy from the Brotherhood Without Banners, just because I was looking at IMDb.
Yeah.
Guard this body for a
I don't know if you guys caught. I don't know if I saw her there or not, but there was also shown in the Christmas special who was the whelp that was like torturing Arya Stark.
How long? 4.5 billion years.
It's a long
Doctor
way.
Who?
Doctor Who.
Doctor Who? Doctor Who? Doctor Who?
Doctor
Yeah, we know.
Doctor
We get
Who?
it.
Doctor Who?
The name of the show.
Doctor.
Doctor Who.
Good thing we ended on a
Days
Nazi.
of Our
It's like-
Lives. Phew, that was a lot of who to get through. It wasn't so bad. Now let's see what that classic series is all about.
The Great One is all-knowing. All praise to the Great One.
Oh, new timeline. New timeline.
Oh, that was fun. That was a good time.
6 months of your life gone, like just
Wasn't
like
6
that.
months. It was all worth it, and it was fun to do. Because when else would I have had the time to just get paid to watch Doctor Who? you
Yes,
It was for charity too.
It was
Also
for,
was for
it was,
charity,
it was
yeah.
all for a good cause, and it is interesting to go through a whole show like this where you're really thinking about all the connections. Like it's a good way to cram it all into your mind. Like I know Doctor Who a lot better now than if I had just casually watched a few seasons.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and now I'll probably keep going.
I feel like I'm gonna keep. I wouldn't if you had asked me when I started this project if I thought I would become a Doctor Who viewer. I don't think I would have said yes, and yet. It's all DVR'd.
It wore me down like a 4.5 billion year long trapped inside a weird thing where you move a rock.
You don't move it.
That's
you
a hell of a
punch
bird.
it, and you wear it down over
Yeah.
time with the strength of your punch.
That was Doctor Who on me.
It's a hell of a bird.
Let's see the deleted scenes. What didn't make it in?
Where anything can happen and none of the continuity matters.
forced in a
If
Seinfeld
Seinfeld is a show about nothing, this is a show about everything.
There's no laws in this place. Anything goes. It's Thunderdome.
Improved special effects and enough soap opera pulp to choke a telenovela. Yeah, Modern Who is way more Buffy the Vampire Slayer than the show it's supposed to be continuing.
Oh yeah, I love this Dr. Kim one better.
What's that do?
and act as his mostly platonic but not always love interest.
Do you think I'm pretty?
No, you're too short and bossy and your nose is all funny.
Basically, the Doctor is Tom Hanks and the companion is Wilson the volleyball.
Same power dynamic.
Yeah.
They're basically
Man, we
dating
love
without
that
the
joke
sex,
we
except
came
for
up with
Nardole.
it.
That one was purely physical. It's PG-13 Rick and Morty.
You stole a time-freezing crystal from testicle monsters?
I would have been happy to pay for it, Summer, but they don't exactly sell them at Costco.
Or Jodie Whittaker, the first woman to ever attempt the role of a flighty, emotional British dandy who hates guns and loves people. Yeah, I'm not worried.
I feel like that joke is reverse sexist of us.
Yeah, I kind of can't put my finger on why it doesn't
Well,
quite work, but it doesn't
Kinda
quite.
sounds like a horny elephant.
It's not supposed to make that noise. You leave the brakes on.
Well, then take them off.
Never did.
Starring Blink and your recast. Time Edgelord. Hit it and quit it. A wolf in chic clothing. Kissed by a rose. Britney Spears. Torchwood Agent Coulson. Madman de Pompadour.
And I just snogged Madame de Pompadour.
Can't Be Killed Grave. Rebound Rose.
Oh, that's my
Climb
joke.
Your
I thought
River
that was a joke.
song. Bill Potts? I thought that was
That's a good gag. That's a
Exit
good
the
gag.
Days. The Bionic Woman. Mrs. Bill.
It's like one extra step to
Some
connect
people
it,
want
but
to change the
so funny
world
to
with
me.
Billy Love songs.
I like that.
It's not the size on the outside that matters. Bill Nye, the science god. Sherman from Peabody and Sherman. Foothead looking ass. Midlife crisis. Ancient
I got a
alien.
foot-head looking at us.
I'm younger.
Nebula. Origins. The inconsistent girl. Leave Clara alone. The doctor who doesn't like to use weapons.
They've got guns.
And I haven't, which makes me the better person. No, no weapons. It's not the way I do things.
The doctor uses weapons.
You wouldn't. Cyber weapons.
Ah, listen to your little hearts beat.
The old Capaldi fake out.
Isn't it? I'm not a hugger.
Loves the old.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Just lucky that nobody recorded that.
Wait a minute. We did.
Got him.
Oh! I'm talking to you live!
And
does it,
reverse
like,
the
once in
polarity.
There's really a horrible one where he pretends to die in front of Bill. Like he fake regenerates. It's
Reverse the
awful.
polarity.
Reverse the polarity of
There were a lot of good.
This is one that I pushed
Doctor
a cut
Who
only because it was
people have
already
actually
the
seen.
show's joke.
show makes
Doctor
yeah.
Strange. Really strange.
Hard to do a title for this.
Doctor, to whom are you
Yeah. 'Cause
referring
There's
to
so
exactly?
much. Like,
Yeah.
Doctor
I'll go
Everything.
you one better. Why is Doctor Terminator Who?
Terminator Who? Judgment.
I thought you landed with the best one. I think Days of Our Lives of Future Past.
Yeah, Days of
that's
Our Lives
something.
of Future Past is really good.
Yeah.
Wow.
Even JT in the
Even
movie.
JT goes, "Phew." That was something. What a journey. Thank you, Riley.
Thanks for having me. This was the
You've been
best.
indispensable.
I was glad to be.
Wow, yeah, we could not have done this without you.
Yeah. Thank you, Lon.
Oh, my pleasure.
I pawned off 2 of my seasons on you. And you said,
You could have done this without me, in fairness.
you said okay. And thank you, Joe, who's, I hope not lost in the backwoods of Kentucky and is doing well.
My favorite thing was when Joe would just tweet the words Doctor Who and nothing else.
Doctor Who again.
I also like that because Joe and I have been friends for a while, and Joe has picked on me mercilessly for years for loving this show because he knows he gets a rise out of me. And he loves to call the TARDIS the Tandy and stuff like that. And I love that over the course of the last 6 months, Joe went from somebody who did that to someone who has now released his own independent album of him doing the voice of the Daleks
Yeah, right?
for comedy.
Yeah. How far we've come. Yeah. I don't know. What more is there to say? I feel like we covered it.
Yeah, I feel like just don't be cruel and
Don't be cruel.
always
Don't be cowardly.
kind. And
Catch Doctor Who.
Sundays on BBC
on
America.
BBC America.
I don't want to go.
And I wish we had more, but it's hard to say goodbye. But now I guess we have free time to do other things.
Like watch more Doctor Who.
Like watch more Doctor Who.
You
There
can watch
go.
the classic show now.
Yeah, I want to watch
Finally, we can catch up on all those radio dramas. I know
the
you've been
K9
waiting.
spin-off.
They're actually pretty good. I'm just gonna say, if you want to get some good Paul McGann action,
All right.
Who doesn't?
So at Riley J Silverman at
Yes.
Twitter, at Lawns.
That's me.
At Spencer J Gilbert. Tweet us your Doctor thoughts. We'll be watching along with you, I guess. And yell at us there. Thanks for watching this show. We'll be back next week with something much shorter. I don't know what it will be, but it'll be a lot easier and probably less fun. So thanks a lot for joining us. Bye bye.